The streetlights flickered as Emily Ramos pushed her stroller through the cracked sidewalk of their low-income neighborhood. She wrapped her coat tighter around herself, trying to shield her 6-month-old daughter, Bella, from the biting wind. The baby's thin blanket barely helped. Emily's fingers were numb, but she couldn't feel the cold anymore. Her mind was somewhere else entirely. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, but she didn't check it. She knew it wasn't a job offer. Probably just another notification from the overdue utility bills, or maybe the food bank reminder. The shelves at home were almost empty again. The only thing in the fridge was half a bottle of expired milk and a single slice of bread. No formula, no diapers, no help in sight. Emily had tried everything. She'd already pawned her laptop, skipped meals, and begged every friend she had left. Her last hope was her cousin Tina, one of the few people who hadn't blocked her number. As she entered the small, dim apartment, Bella began to fuss. Emily scooped her up, sat on the edge of their worn-out couch, and gently rocked her back and forth. Her eyes welled up. "I'm sorry, baby," she whispered, brushing Bella's soft cheek. "Mama's trying." She pulled out her phone, wiped her eyes, and opened her messages. Her fingers trembled as she typed. "I hate asking, but I need help. I can't afford formula for Bella. Please, anything helps. Even $10 would make a difference." She stared at the message. For a moment, her pride almost made her delete it, but Bella's whimpering nudged her. She hit send. A minute passed, then 5. Still no response. She sighed and dropped the phone beside her, standing to warm up the last bit of water she'd saved in the kettle. But the ping of a message stopped her. "Who is this?" Emily's stomach twisted. That wasn't Tina's tone. She scrambled to look at the number she'd sent the message to. Her heart sank. Wrong number. No, not just a wrong number. She clicked the contact and saw it. She'd accidentally sent it to a number that had once belonged to a company she briefly cleaned offices for. Some executive's assistant had once texted her there to confirm her hours. She hadn't deleted the thread. She opened the chat to see the name. Richard Langston. Her face turned pale. No, it can't be. The Richard Langston, CEO of LTX Systems? The billionaire tech tycoon who was constantly trending on business sites for his cutthroat tactics? She panicked and started typing frantically. "I am so sorry. That message was not meant for you. It was an accident. Please disregard it. I didn't mean to bother you." She hovered her thumb over send, biting her lip, then pressed it. Seconds later, another reply came. "Are you trying to scam me?" She felt her cheeks flush. Anger flared alongside her embarrassment. "Absolutely not. I didn't even know this number still belonged to you. It was an honest mistake. My name is Emily. I'm just a single mom having a rough time. Again, I'm sorry." There was a long pause. Emily waited, clutching Bella closer, as if expecting the CEO to somehow materialize and scold her in person. Then her phone buzzed again. "You said your baby needs formula. What kind?" She blinked. Was he serious? "I'm not asking you for anything," she replied quickly. "I wasn't trying to guilt anyone. I was just texting my cousin. That's all. I've got handled." That was a lie, and they both knew it. A moment passed. "Give me your address. I'll send something." Emily stared at the screen. Her instincts screamed, "Don't do it. You don't give strangers, especially billionaires, your location." But this wasn't some sketchy guy. This was Richard Langston. If he wanted to find her, he already could. "Why would you do that?" she typed. "Because I can." That was it. No emoji, no smiley face, just a blunt truth. Emily hesitated. Then she did the one thing her pride never allowed before. She swallowed her fear and sent her address. She immediately regretted it. But within minutes, another message came. "Expect a delivery in the morning." No further explanation. No pleasantries. Just a silence after that. Emily barely slept that night. Every sound made her jump. Was this some elaborate setup? Would the press show up at her door? Would he use this to embarrass her? When she finally dozed off, it was with Bella curled up beside her, both of them shivering despite the blankets. The morning sun peeked through their torn curtains. A knock at the door jolted her awake. She cautiously crept over and opened a crack. A delivery man stood there, surrounded by bags. "Delivery for Emily Ramos," he said, glancing at the slip. "Paid in full." She opened the door slowly, her breath catching. Groceries, diapers, wipes, cans of formula, even baby clothes. Everything neatly packed and labeled. Emily looked down at Bella, who was still drowsy in her arms. Then she whispered, barely believing it herself, "What just happened?" Richard Langston rarely looked at his phone during meetings. As CEO of LTX Systems, his time was meticulously structured. He paid people to screen messages, manage his appointments, and keep distractions to a minimum. But that morning, something made him glance at the unknown number that had messaged him the night before. The text was brief, raw, and utterly human. It cut through the noise of quarterly projections and supply chain updates like a sharp gust of wind. "I hate asking, but I need help. I can't afford formula for Bella. Please, anything helps." At first, he assumed it was spam. Some new AI-generated scam tried to appeal to his humanity. He'd seen plenty, but he kept staring at the name. Bella. Too specific. Too personal. He'd replied out of curiosity, expecting to spiral into a sob story, a Cash App request, a long-winded lie. But what he got back was dignity, an apology, a woman who didn't ask again, who tried to withdraw, who clearly had no idea she contacted him when she sent her address. Part of him still expected it to be a trap, but something in his gut told him it wasn't. So he made a call to his personal assistant, Kara. "Send a delivery. Baby formula. Lots of it. Diapers. Essentials. Overnight. Name's Emily Ramos. Brooklyn address." Kara hesitated. Okay. Should I ask?" "No." Click. Now, hours later, he sat in his office, staring out the window at the Manhattan skyline. He had just finished a heated negotiation with a board member who wanted to cut a third of their research team. Richard had shut it down with cold precision. Still, his thoughts kept circling back to the girl. Emily Ramos. He opened his laptop and typed in her name. Public records showed her as a 23-year-old resident of Brooklyn. No criminal history. Single mother. Worked part-time as a cashier at a gas station and cleaned houses 3 days a week. He pulled up the address she'd sent. The building was run down, barely standing. He clicked through Google Street View. It looked like the kind of place people fought to escape from. His fingers tapped against the desk. He wasn't sure why it bothered him so much. Maybe it was because he'd spent his entire career believing that people made their beds. That success came to those who clawed for it. He'd earned his billions by sleeping under his desk, making ruthless decisions, cutting off emotional entanglements. He built empires. He didn't feel. But that message, "I didn't mean to bother you." No dramatics. No guilt trip. Just survival. He picked up his phone again and did something he hadn't done in years. He sent a personal message. Did the delivery arrive? The reply didn't come for nearly 20 minutes. Long enough that he assumed she was ghosting him. But then, "Yes, I don't know what to say. Thank you. You're welcome." Another pause. "I don't know why you did it, but thank you. It helped more than you know." He thought for a moment, then, uncharacteristically, typed back. "You said your baby's name is Bella?" "Yes, 6 months old." "Tell me about her." He didn't know why he asked that. He'd never been the sentimental type. Babies cried. That was the extent of his knowledge. The next message came in a few moments later. No photos, just words. "She has these big eyes that always look surprised. She doesn't sleep much. Cries when she's hungry. Smiles when I sing to her. Her father died before she was born. Drunk driver." Richard leaned back in his chair. He hadn't expected that. He felt a faint flicker of something. Guilt? Pity? No, it was simpler than that. It was respect. "You're doing all this alone?" "Yeah, been that way since I was 4 months pregnant." "And your family?" "Gone. My mom passed. My dad's out of the picture. It's just me and her." Another pause. "Sorry, you probably want all that." "It's okay. I asked." Emily didn't reply right away. Richard stared at the screen longer than he should have. surprised to feel the tug of interest, not in a romantic way, but in a human way. She wasn't begging. She wasn't trying to manipulate him. She was just surviving. He stood up, walked over the window, and looked down at the tiny cars moving like ants on the street below. He had everything. But when was the last time someone had spoken to him without wanting something? Emily Ramos had no idea who he was when she sent that text. And now that she did, she still wasn't asking for anything more. A knock came at the door. Kara peeked in. Press is asking if the LTX donation to the Children's Hospital can be made public. Also, there's a Wall Street Journal request for an interview. Tell the press no comment. And reschedule the interview. Kara blinked. Reschedule? You never reschedule press. I know. I'm making an exception. She nodded and backed out. Richard turned back to his desk and picked up his phone again. I have a meeting in a few minutes. But if you ever need anything for Bella, really need it, don't hesitate. There was no reply for several minutes. Then, I'm not looking for charity. He smiled. I know. That's why I'm offering it. He closed his phone and sat down, suddenly more focused than he had been in weeks. There was something about Emily Ramos that reminded him what it meant to feel alive, not as a CEO, not as a billionaire, but as a man who'd nearly forgotten what it meant to care. Emily didn't expect to hear from him again. In her experience, generosity, when it came at all, was fleeting. But Richard Langston messaged her again 3 days later. Just one line. How's Bella doing? She stared at the text while Bella gurgled on the floor beside her, played with a makeshift rattle Emily had fashioned out of an empty vitamin bottle and dried beans. She bit her lip, then typed. She's better, thanks to the formula. She actually slept through the night last night. First time in weeks. Glad to hear it. It wasn't small talk. His questions were always precise, his tone clipped but sincere. They weren't flirty. They weren't leading. And he never once brought up the money or asked for anything in return. He just kept checking in. Over the next week, a strange rhythm developed. A message here, a reply there. Sometimes a question about Bella, sometimes a random fact. Like how he couldn't stand peanut butter or how he once coded an entire software prototype in a hospital waiting room. Emily found herself replying during late-night feedings and early mornings before her shift at the gas station. She kept reminding herself not to get too comfortable. He was a billionaire. She was a single mom with less than $70 to her name. There was no future in this. No friendship. No real connection. But there was comfort in being heard. One night, after a brutal 12-hour shift and a broken bus ride home, she typed something she hadn't planned. Do you ever get lonely? His reply came faster than she expected. Every day. She stared at the words for a long time. Eventually, he added, Everyone wants something. Except you. She didn't know what to say to that. So she sent a photo of Bella mid-giggle, with one sock missing, and her hair sticking up like a dandelion puff. No caption. Just truth. Richard responded with a single word. Beautiful. The next day, Emily's phone rang unexpectedly. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Hello? Emily. It's Richard. His voice was deeper than she imagined. Polished. Cool but not cold. Oh, wow. Hi. I'm sorry to call out of the blue, he said, but I'm hosting a private dinner this Friday. A small one. Not business. Just a few people I trust. I'd like you to come. Emily nearly dropped the phone. Me? She laughed nervously. You want me at a billionaire's dinner? I think you'd be surprised how refreshing you are, he said. You tell the truth. You don't sugarcoat. And frankly, I could use that. Is this a joke? No, it's not. I'll send a car. Or you can say no. No pressure. Emily sat in silence. Bella cooed from the corner. I don't have anything fancy to wear, she admitted. I'll take care of that, he replied. No strings attached. 2 days later, a sleek black box arrived at her door. Inside, a simple but elegant navy blue dress, a pair of modest heels, and a note. You don't need to impress anyone. Just be yourself. She wanted to say no. Every part of her screamed this was insane. but something stronger pulled her forward. That Friday evening, as she handed Bella to her neighbor for babysitting and slid into the back of the black sedan waiting at the curb, Emily felt like she was stepping into a world she was never meant to touch. The dinner was held at an upscale rooftop restaurant overlooking the river. Only a handful of guests were present, mostly older, well-dressed, clearly wealthy. But all of them seemed human, relaxed, casual. Richard met her at the entrance. "You look nice," he said with the faintest smile. Emily swallowed hard. "I feel like a paper plate at a crystal banquet." He chuckled. "Good." The crystal could use a reminder of what real life looks like. He introduced her as an important friend. No last name, no labels, just respect. Throughout the night, she said little, mostly listened. But when one pompous man made a snide remark about people leeching off the system, Emily calmly replied, "I work 2 jobs, and I still can't afford groceries without stress. I don't think anyone chooses this life. They survive it." The table fell silent. Then Richard said quietly, "That's exactly why I invited her." After dinner, they stood alone on the balcony. City lights shimmered below them like stars that had fallen to earth. "Why me?" Emily asked. "You could have sent a donation and never spoken to me again." He leaned against the rail. "Because you reminded me what it means to be decent, to need without shame, to fight without fanfare." She looked away, heart racing. "I'm not special." "That's the irony," he said. "You are, because you don't try to be." Silence lingered between them, not uncomfortable, just honest. "I'm not looking for a handout," she whispered. "I know." "Then what is this?" He met her eyes. An unlikely exchange. That night, when she returned home, she checked on Bella, who was fast asleep with her tiny fist curled around a teddy bear one of the dinner guests had gifted her. Emily sat on the edge of her mattress, still in the borrowed dress, phone in hand. She typed slowly, "Thank you for tonight, for seeing me." The reply came a moment later. "Thank you for reminding me what it means to feel." Weeks passed. Emily expected the attention to fade, the messages to slow, the connection to dissolve into the ether. That's what usually happened when the rich and powerful dipped their toes into someone else's struggle. They got their ego boost, their moment of charity, and then moved on. But Richard didn't vanish. If anything, their communication grew more frequent. Some mornings he texted her before she was even out of bed. Not about money or favors, just odd, often humorous questions. Is it normal for babies to scream like pterodactyls at 4 a.m.? Why does microwave coffee taste like defeat? If Bella grows up and asks why the sky is blue, how do you answer without sounding like a liar? Emily would laugh, despite herself, and reply with her usual blend of sarcasm and honesty. She didn't put on a show for him. She couldn't afford to. And maybe that's why he kept reaching out. They developed rituals. He'd message her after board meetings. She'd vent after her double shifts. He started asking about Bella like an uncle might, concerned, curious, careful not to overstep. Emily, meanwhile, found herself asking about his world too, at first cautiously, then with growing boldness. "So you're rich," she texted one evening, exhausted and slouched on her floor with Bella asleep on her chest. "What does a billionaire even do when he's not being a billionaire?" Richard's reply, "I stare at spreadsheets, argue with people who smile too much, and talk to a woman named Emily who makes me forget I'm lonely." Her fingers hovered over her phone. She felt it then, that flicker, something warm, familiar, dangerous. She quickly typed back, "Don't romanticize poverty. It's not charming. It's exhausting." His reply came fast. "I'm not romanticizing anything. I'm just saying, you're real. That matters." One day, as a storm rolled through Brooklyn and thunder rattled the windows, Emily's power went out. The building was old, wires frayed. She lit a candle, bundled Bella in blankets, and rocked her slowly, humming under her breath. Her phone buzzed. "You okay?" She didn't want to answer, didn't want to seem needy, but she told the truth. "No power. It's fine. We're fine." 5 minutes later, he called, not texted, called. She picked up. Richard, stay with me tonight. Emily blinked. What? I have a place in Midtown. It's secure, has a guest suite, a crib, everything Bella might need. I don't want you both freezing in the dark. I can't just show up at your penthouse. You're not just showing up. You're my friend. Friends help each other. Emily hesitated. Rich people don't have friends like me. I do now. She arrived in a borrowed coat, Bella tucked in her arms. Their only luggage a baby bag and her frayed purse. The doorman looked surprised or respectful, as if already warned not to ask questions. Richard met her at the elevator. You made it. I almost didn't. Why? Because this is insane. He let her in. The apartment was quiet, warm, and surprisingly minimalist. Not a palace. Just peaceful. The guest suite looked like something out of a boutique hotel. Emily stood frozen at the door. I can't pay you back for this, she murmured. He placed a hand on the crib's edge, gently. I never asked you to. That night, Emily slept better than she had in months. Bella did too. When she woke, there was coffee waiting in the kitchen and a note on the fridge. Had to step out. Stay as long as you need. You and Bella are safe here. She read it twice, her eyes blurring, not from fear, but from the unfamiliar sensation of being cared for without strings. Over the next few weeks, their bond only deepened. Emily returned home the next day, but Richard visited often. Sometimes he brought groceries. Sometimes just conversation. Always respectful, always distant enough to let her breathe. People started noticing. Her neighbor once whispered, Is that your boyfriend? As Richard carried Bella's car seat inside. Emily laughed so hard she nearly dropped her keys. No, she said. He's just someone who helped me when I had nothing. But the truth was more complicated than that. He wasn't just helping anymore. They were helping each other. One evening, as Bella slept in her second-hand crib and Emily sipped cheap wine on her stoop, Richard sat beside her, dressed down in jeans and a hoodie. They didn't speak for a long time. Then Emily said softly, What are we doing? He looked at her, tired eyes crinkling. I don't know. I'm not your project. I know. And I'm not here to stroke your ego. I know. She turned to face him. So why haven't you walked away? He didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, Because for the first time in years, I feel human again. Emily stared down at her chipped wine glass. And for the first time in years, she whispered, I don't feel invisible. That night, she didn't sleep. Neither did he. Their texts were shorter, closer, deeper, not romantic. Not yet, but real. Two broken people, finding warmth in the strangest place. A wrong number had become the right connection. It was inevitable. You can only blur the lines between two worlds for so long before they snap. The moment came on a Tuesday afternoon. Emily was at her gas station job, counting cigarette cartons and trying to ignore the leaky ceiling overhead, when her manager stormed and red-faced. Who the hell do you think you are? Emily turned, startled. Excuse me? You've got some guy in a suit out front asking for you by name. You bring your drama here now. Her stomach dropped. She rushed outside. There he was, Richard Langston, wearing a tailored navy trench coat, hair slicked from the rain, out of place, completely. I need to talk to you, he said, voice low. Here, she hissed, in front of everyone. He stepped closer, eyes haunted. I didn't know where else to go. Emily looked past him. Her co-workers were staring. One even had a phone out, clearly recording. She grabbed Richard's arm and pulled him around the side of the building, away from prying eyes. What's going on? He ran a hand through his hair. Someone leaked the text. Our conversations. Photos of us. The night you came to my apartment. It's all over the finance blogs. They're calling you my mistress. Or worse. Emily's mouth went dry. No, she breathed. No, I didn't, Richard, I swear. I know it wasn't you. But someone got access. A hacker, maybe, or someone in my building. She felt the world tilt. Are they coming after me? They already are. He showed her his phone. Tabloid headlines. blurred images of Bella. One even claimed Emily had schemed her way into a billionaire's life with a fake baby sob story. She staggered back. They're talking about my daughter? They don't care about truth, Richard said. They care about scandal. Tears welled in Emily's eyes, but she shoved them down. You need to distance yourself from me, she said quietly. Right now. Richard stared at her. No. Yes, she said. This is your career. Your name. I'm just some girl who texted the wrong number. You owe me nothing. That's where you're wrong. She shook her head. If you care about me, about Bella, you'll walk away. Let this die. His jaw tightened. You think I care what the world thinks? I do, Richard, because I've seen what it's like to be trampled by people who don't. I've spent my whole life invisible. I can't survive being vilified. She stepped away. I'm sorry, she whispered. Then she turned and walked back into the store. For 3 days, there was silence. No texts, no calls. Emily shut off her phone after the hate. Mail started rolling in. People accusing her of being a gold digger, a fraud. One email even said, "Hope your baby starves. Maybe then you'll learn not to manipulate men." She deleted it without reading the rest. Bella was all that mattered now. She tightened her routine. Quit the gas station job. Too much exposure. Took shifts cleaning offices at night. Anything to stay quiet. Unseen. Alone. Then one night, she came home to find an envelope taped to her door. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. A news article. Langston Tech CEO steps down temporarily to refocus on what matters. Her heart stopped. She read the article 3 times. Richard had held a press conference that morning. Announced he was taking a leave of absence. Said, quote, I built a billion-dollar empire, but somewhere along the way, I forgot how to feel. Then someone reminded me. Someone real. I won't let the world shame her for that. No names. No photos. But the message was clear. Emily sank to the floor. He didn't walk away. He stood still. The next day, there was a knock on her door. She opened it slowly. There he was. No suit. No armor. Just Richard. I don't care what they say, he said. I care about you. About Bella. About something real. Tears slipped down her face. Why? Because, he said gently, you texted me for baby formula, and you ended up giving me something money never could. She swallowed. What's that? A reason. They didn't kiss. Not yet, but he stepped forward, and she let him in. Bella stirred in her crib, then giggled in her sleep, as if she already knew. Her mom had finally found something she'd never had. Someone who stayed.